Have you ever flipped a page of a manga and then suddenly screamed out with a fierce passion that only a shonen protagonist would have after viewing the contents of the next spread? No? Then you, my friend, are missing out on one of the greatest manga series ever. I have always been a bit puzzled as to why Kingdom isn't any more popular on YouTube. Despite having been published on a consistent weekly basis for nearly a decade by now, and despite being one of the highest rated manga on my anime list, I still essentially never see anyone talk about it. It almost feels like people are not even aware that it exists. I think this is very unfortunate because they are missing out on what is perhaps the most inspirational manga I have ever had pleasure of reading. The story of Kingdom takes place during a Chinese warring state period. After a full 500 years of constant warfare between the various states of China, the bloodshed still show no sign of stopping anytime soon. It is here our story begins with a young man named as Shin who has a naive dream of becoming the greatest general in all of China. After accidentally becoming involved in a conflict over the royal throne of the state of Qin, he eventually ends up serving under the new young king who has the ambition to one day unite all of China under one banner. As a result, Kingdom is a manga of epic proportions, containing large-scale warfares with hundreds of thousands of soldiers, advanced military strategies, and incredible intensity. The battles are long and complicated but perfectly understandable as the author's style of writing is extremely detailed and also utilizes ton of tactical maps, overviews and time jumps to explain the flow of combat. It's intelligent but without requiring much from the reader in order to keep up with the plot. At the same time, Kingdom has extremely in-depth national politics and diplomacy between nations, further enhancing the overall sense of realism. Speaking of which, it should be stated that the manga is in fact based on true events and characters from Chinese history. Of course, it's only loosely based on it as the historical records only dictates what happened, but the author is one who decides how it happened. In other words, he manages to create a story which is perhaps exaggeratedly epic yet still never contradicts the actual true events. The most noteworthy aspect of the storytelling used in the series is telling of the story through perspectives of several different characters. This allows us a further insight into the motives of each character and helps us grow to empathize with them in some cases. By fully understanding the character, we as a audience are then able to fully appreciate the impact of the actions they take. This switching of perspectives can sometimes be unexpected, but so far I've enjoyed each and every arc throughout the story, even if not all of them go the way we want them to go. As I mentioned earlier, the story consists of multiple Chinese based wars and a shift in internal politics, and in which each war plays an important role for the progression of the story, which is critical in this manga. This manga also brings no irrelevant factors in anything such as power-ups or shonen-like features. This is nearly realistic manga that relies on a real old war tactics in order to succeed. But author mixes those tactics with a new kind of complex offensive tactics that will highly surprise you. Definitely. Though there may be a bit of supernatural features, it actually makes complete sense in the plot and even creates conflicts once the supernatural beings appear. As you know already, it's a war-based manga set in the warring state period, and as in war, there will be great casualties on one side or both. Major things will happen and I won't explain it here due to spoilers. The characters in Kingdom are amazing. Most characters and mainly the main characters in Kingdom and especially the big names generals past or present have very good character development and has their own goals for the future no matter what opposition is in their way. Also, it doesn't matter who it is in the 7 states of China, by the time you're updated with this manga, you're going to love either at least more than one general, main characters, commanders, diplomatics and nobles and supernatural beings or outsiders oppositions. Multiple characters in Kingdom have their own sort of personalities that doesn't fully bloom until they are in the midst of battle, no matter if it's strength, strategy or character development or internal conflicts itself. but at the end of the war itself, it feels like they have grown more. Also, each state of China has very diverse generals and men that are under them no matter who it is. They bring up difficult melee battles or strategic battles that are fairly interesting. Also, the author bases most of the characters from the kingdom from actual famous Chinese generals from the 7 state warring periods dynasty of Chinese history, but adds a little flavor to it to widen the variety of characters that changes their way of thinking during wars and proceeds boundaries outside the box. The art is extremely high detail and helps to amplify the level of intensity of the story. Especially the armies and the battlefields look simply fantastic, and sometimes it makes you feel like you are really there. While it may not exactly be on the level of something like Berserk in terms of visuals, it's still more than enough to appropriately showcase the cold and harsh reality of field of battle and deliver that atmosphere to the readers firsthand. Kingdom has some very long arcs, occasionally during more drawn out battles. And I'll just say here and now that when you are in one of those segments, it's effectively impossible to stop reading it. Why? Because every single chapter ends with a huge cliffhanger. This is one of those stories which just keeps teasing you and forces you to keep reading the next chapter, and the next one, and the next one after that. You can still easily read through all of it in just few days. No problem whatsoever. It's just that it is too addictive once you start. I believe any fan of shonen and history buffs should definitely check this manga out. I promise you won't be disappointed, and I suggest reading the first arc in one sitting. It isn't too long and will grasp your attention. If you love Berserk, then you will definitely love Kingdom. Overall, in my eyes, Kingdom is a manga which seriously needs more attention. I'm still not sure exactly why so few people have read it, but I really wish more people would give it a chance because it truly is one of the most influential and impressive manga out there. It stands out as one of the most atypical manga to begin with, but above all, it is exceedingly rare for a story to be so action packed, so intelligent, yet so incredibly emotional all at the same time. Have you already read Kingdom manga? If you have done it, let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And if you haven't started it yet, you should definitely do it right now after closing this video. And that's for today's video, guys. That was the video about my short review of Kingdom manga. What are your thoughts about this video? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I post daily anime content about top 10 top 5 listings, anime reviews, recommendations, news theories and all sorts of anime content on daily basis. So if you enjoyed, please subscribe, and that was it. And I will see you in the next one. Sayonara.